Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to KCG, to the Zolder 3X20 TCR race in a pretty classic sense. So it's a very known format, I think, for many out there, with some cars that haven't been raced in a long time. And I'm very much looking forward to this race, as we have quite a decent amount of drivers and also a high quality grid as per usual. We also have some people we haven't seen for quite a long time at this point. And in general, I'm just happy to be back on a broadcast in Race Room, to be honest. So, without much talking, let's get to the event itself. We are driving at Zolder for 3 20-minute races. And we used these beautiful machines, the WTCC cars from 2014 to 2017, which went by the Super 2000 rules. So we see Władysław Piatkowski in the C300, for example, which in itself is a very iconic car in racing due to the obtainability being not that high since a couple of years now. But also Marvin Mackenberg here in the Chevrolet. But we go through the drivers in just a moment's time. First off, it's a very classic touring car format, 3 20-minute races. The grid of the first race, of course, being set in qualifying here. And the second and third races using a reversed grid of the races prior, with top 10 being reversed and a point scoring system. This point scoring system will rack up over time, so you will get points for finishing higher in qualifying to give a reward to it, which are 5 points for P1, P2 gets 4, down to P5 getting 1 point. So there are already some points up for grabs in here. However, this isn't everything. For each race you have a maximum of 15 points, going down to P10 again with 1 point, in a gradual distribution. That's what I was looking for. And in the end, the driver with the most points, of course, wins. P2 with the second most points, and so on. There's also a custom BOP in place, which so far looks to be working quite well. And with all that said, with all the informations, let's get talking about the drivers. The driver we are following all the time at the moment is Marvin Mackenberg, who's driving the Chevy Cruze in the livery that originally Colin Blankenburg wanted to drive. Unfortunately, Colin can't make it today, so he will have to settle for this race. But Marvin Mackenberg still chose to drive his livery. Only condition to this deal that he has to win the whole championship in Colin's, well, not name, but in Colin's livery, you may say it like that. And of course, if there's Marvin in the race, there's also Sven in the second Chevy Cruze, which with a very, I'd say rarely seen livery. Not seeing that this often. Then we have somebody who very surprised me in practice, because he was quite a dominant force in it. Jiří Kratochwil in the first of the 2 Volvos we have on the grid. Beautiful machines, of course, got replaced by Link & Co. for the TCR rule set. But I think most people would agree on that this is, in terms of looks, the much superior car. Very beautiful to look at, also very nice livery, of course, if you know me. But he's currently sitting in P3. Bit of a gap to the Mackenbergs, but that's to be expected usually. And I'm curious to see what he can do. Then we have Timo Reuter in the second of the Volvos, of course, still both being from Petrolhead Sim Racing. So he's in the second Cyan machine, and also a few positions shifted. And we have Władysław Piatkowski now in third position in a Citroen. And the Citroen, of course, you can't buy it anymore because of licensing deals and stuff, to my knowledge. However, if you obtained it back in the day, you of course still have it in your inventory and can still use it, and that's what Władysław Piatkowski is doing right now, which is great to see, and also great to see him back. He's driven in a few races in KCG, but it's always just like dropping in and out of the league, but it's cool to see him back here. And same goes for Ricardo Rebello, also in a Citroen, very special car of course. And we have one more Chevrolet driven by Marcel Löcken. He's also in the number 7 car, also in a Suckertap car, but of a different year. Because the cruise he is driving is from 2014. And the one that Marvin Mackenberg, originally Colin Blankenburg, was driving is of course from 2015. So we see him go a little bit right here, but not too much of a problem. And then we also have a Honda on the grid, which makes me very happy for obvious reasons. For those who don't know, I work at a workshop that specialized on Honda, so, and I also drive Hondas. But however, very nice to see a Civic on the grid. See what he can do in this machine. He hasn't set a lap time yet. And we have also a new face on the grid who's currently not driving, but has been driving in qualifying. And I'm hoping, I will probably butcher this name completely, but František Štofko in the Lada. I think it's the only Lada we have on the grid. But it's good to see him here. It will be very interesting to see what he can do. We are also anticipating a few more drivers to join as well. So let's see what he can show us. And we have still 20 minutes in qualifying left, so plenty of time for him to put a lap time in. But let's waste no further time and take a look at the current standings. And we see, of course, the Mackenbergs in P1 and P2. Bit of a gap between the two of them. See how this will develop. Władysław Piatkowski in 3rd and Ricardo Rebello in 4th, followed by Kartoffel, Marcel Löcken and Timo Reiter. But Zolder is quite a short track, 1.5 minutes, which means you can get roughly 15 laps, I'd say, in, because you also need to do an in and out lap. And I think we will see more and more improvements over the session. Gaspar is now doing his first lap time, I guess. Seems like he invalidated it somewhere along the lines. Let's hop on board with him. Now through turn 2, very tricky in my opinion, because it's kind of hard to anticipate how far the turn goes, and you can accelerate very early and lose and gain a lot of time on others. But at the same time, if you accelerate too early and head to the gravel trap, if you hit the gravel trap, of course you're gonna lose massive time, but if you have to lift out, it will cost you time until to the turn 4 entry basically. And then through the chicane. And now down Butte. Very special corner. I really like to drive it. It has like a very good feeling to it if you then brake hard for the turn 7 complex. Actually, this whole complex to this, until this turn, from this chicane to this turn, is considered as one turn. It's a bit weird, but it seems to work. And then down to turn 8, which I can't pronounce. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but no, through the last chicane. And approaching Jackie Xbroch. Final turn off the track. Can see him like not being that gentle with the gas right now. Let's hope this will improve, but he puts it in 8th. And meanwhile 2 more people joined. And we have another Civic on the grid, because Oriel Balmana joined the game. Of course, many people of you should know him, as you Loki on Discord. Runs Split Room and in general is very engaged with a lot of communities, and it's great to see him here. Also did a lot for Race Room, I think, overall. And I think he hasn't driven in KCG that much. It might even be that he's joining for the first time. I'm not too sure on that, but could well be. But of course, driven in a lot of different races. Also helped a lot with organization in a lot of parts. So it's good to see him here. And we also have a second new face. Rest of course is going out for his first laps. We have Emmanuel Lopez, an Argentinian. Not sure if we had an Argentinian so far in KCG. But it's very nice to see him. We're curious to see what he can do. But he seems to be very high rated. Of course, we take a look at the profiles before the races. But looked like a very promising driver. So I'm curious to see what he can do. Meanwhile, up front, Marvin Magdenberg improved further to 33.355. Now stuck behind Stofko. Sven Magdenberg is also closing in on him. And Marvin Magdenberg also confirming, yeah, after that lap I can probably just focus on the races now, and with that lap time, sure you can do it, because the 33.3 is a very strong lap time. And now you can basically concentrate on getting knowledge. But Magdenberg improved to 1:33.704. That's only 3.5 tenths away. Of course, those 3.5 tenths are quite hard to get in some point, but it's much closer than before. Marcel Löckner improved to 6th. Meanwhile, Oil Bamana is on his way to finish his first flying lap. And Urbamana with a 1:37.067, which is also a very good lap time. Puts him into P7. Well, first lap time, let's say. It's a very good lap. Can also see how close Marvin Magdenberg is getting to that outside wall into turn 1, which is also I think quite special to Zolder to be this tight on entry because of the wall, and then get this open in the exit with that wide curb on the outside. Of course, in qualifying, track limits are the usual track limits, you know, from Racing. So wide line. Step over it and you will have your lap time invalidated. So getting a bit wide there out of turn 3. Can also see how through those fast turns, especially the inner rear tire is just lifting off the ground. Yeah, pretty used to it from TCRs of course as well, but even the Super 2000 cars tended to do that already. Can hear that he's also pretty on and off the throttle, and that was probably an invalidation to his lap time. Meanwhile, Frontier Stofko put in his first lap time, the 1:37.338. Sure, he can improve on that. And we have 14 minutes in qualifying left. Still plenty of time to put in a lap. Just got notified by someone who originally thought he couldn't join, but luckily can join, who is no other than 3rd place of Bathurst 3 weeks ago, Dave Siska. And it would be great to see him on the grid for today. And apparently his Discord is bugging a bit. Sven Magmark should be on an outlap, if I'm not mistaken. It just came out of the pits before. Meanwhile, Marvin Magmark is sitting in the pits. Much like the rest of the top 6, except for Sven Magmark. Let's follow Sven Magmark through on this lap. You can see how much the direction of the car's travel changes if you apply or lift off the throttle. Can also hear that the car is scraping on the ground a bit here and there. And then you're approaching this super fast but tight chicane. Lot of curb you can take there. I've settled the car a lot. In rear-wheel drive it's more of an issue. In front-wheel drive you of course just power through. But then you also have this chicane where you can just drop on, down into the apex, into the curb. Of course you have to watch out for track limits. But apart from that it's such a satisfying corner to go through. And then downhill braking, 4 turn 8. Again, lots of curb. This chicane being now... I mean it's not a hard chicane, but of course you want to take as much curb on the right hand turn as possible to basically shorten the length of the racetrack. But if you do too much and you get onto the grass, there's a risk you run to damage your suspension due to the drop off. And Sven Magmark across the line improved again, a 33.546, but it's not enough to get past Marvin Magmark. Meanwhile, if you want to join the action on track, if you want to join KCG, and also especially since we have a few announcements to do later on, because we are expanding, which I already teased last time around, you can scan this QR code or click on the link in the description, because they can find a link to the Discord. Everything is managed throughout the Discord. And also everything you need to know about the future of KCG will be posted there. So make sure to join, to be part of this community. Lots of friendly people who are also very willing to help you out if you need to know something, if you are stuck in a certain situation in sim racing. And overall, just a great community to be around, I'd say. And meanwhile, Emmanuel Lopez put in his first lap in the meantime while I was speaking and put it in P3 on the grid. Of course, there's quite the gap to Magmark's, but in front of Radoslav Piaskowski, Ricardo Rebello, that is quite the benchmark he set down for the rest of the grid. Now only waiting for one driver to put in a lap time, and it's Dave Ziska in another Volvo. Means we have 3 Volvos on the grid. Quite a good spread of cars actually. We have 4 Chevrolets, 3 Volvos, and then 2 of Citroens and Hondas each, and 1 Lada. So I think we have all cars covered actually, except for the Lada Granta. At least every brand is represented. As we approach the last 10 minutes of qualifying. Swaroslav Piatkowski and I think Timo Reiter coming out of the pits. Oh, and the first sector improvement for Marvin Mackenberg. He seems to be on a very good lap here. This is one of the more crucial parts for the lap time though. You can see super smooth on the throttle. Through turn 7. Over the hill. Keeping it stable as possible. And then hard braking into turn 8. Through the final chicane, you can see he's not taking all too much curb. Issue of course being if you take too much curb there, the inner wheel lifts off too much for such a turn. And you basically understeer through into the second turn. Which is not what you want to do. And I'm just seeing what I completely missed, that Sven Mackenberg with his last lap time went past Marvin. Only 200th between the two of them. Sven is 33.335, Marvin is 33.355. And that is incredible. Especially if you see the improvements Sven has done over the session. But only 200th between the two of them. See, Manuel Lopez now into the final turn, isn't on the valid lap as it seems, but still has 4 laps to do in this session if he can run through all of them. Manuel Lopez went a bit wide in turn 4 as it seems. Also isn't on a valid lap anymore, so probably really went wide there. Bello across the line without setting a valid lap time. There's still 5 minutes left in this session, but who will be on top of it at the end? Is it going to be Sven Mackenberg? Is it going to be Marvin Mackenberg? Or maybe somebody entirely else? Also in the midfield it's also very tight. You can see Kartoffel with 5.52, Gashmamish 5.57 behind Mackenbergs. Romana also just a 10th behind them. Through the final turn. In the lap time this time around. Of course, in the end you push more, trying to get a better lap time in. Dave's discuss far on a well lap time though. Let's see what he can do. Currently looks on pace for P9. Depending on how well he can get through the final 2 turns. Doesn't risk it. Of course doesn't set a lap time yet. Cross the line, slots in P12. I'm sure with more confidence there will be more speed later on in the session, and he still has 2 laps he can do. And Marvin Muckenberg, purple in sector 1, 18 thousandths of a second faster. He needs 20. Now approaching the chicane of turn 7. And invalidated the lap time. I think there was just slightly off the track. That's already enough. Let's see Sven Muckenberg now across the final first sector line. 200ths down on his time. Marvin Muckenberg parked into the pits. He won't be able to do another valid lap time, and that pretty much. Emmanuel Lopez also in the pits. Piatkowski also in the pits. Ricardo Rebello, the only one out of the top 6 who's still driving and can still put a lap in. While Marcel Löcken seemingly was in collision. But I think, unless somebody really puts in warp drive or something, that Sven Muckenberg has this in the bag. Carabello couldn't improve this time around. Carabello also not putting in another lap time. So there we have it. Those are your final results. Sven Muckenberg in P1, followed by his brother Marvin. And then it's Emmanuel Lopez, Radoslav Piatkowski and Ricardo Bello getting 3, 2 and 1 points each for the final standings. Then Jiri Kartoffel in P6 alongside Gaspar Misch, Oriol Bumana, and then Marcel Löcken, František Stavko, Timo Walter and Dave Siska. This is your grid for race number 1. Meanwhile, we are waiting now to get everyone onto the grid for the start of the race. Of course, good luck to all the races out there. We are now in a 5-minute warm-up session. And I want to use those 5 minutes to announce the the next step in KCG, because we will expand. KCG will expand into a new simulator, and I've already talked about this in the Discord and in the last stream. However, we also have an official, of course, announcement, and you will see it in just a second. There you have it. Of course, KCG will expand to Ranchboard. That doesn't mean it will replace the raceroom events. The raceroom events for now will continue, as long as it's possible to do that. I want to continue with raceroom. And it's pretty simple how to join them if you get keys, and I will distribute more keys in the Discord server. So if you are interested in joining Ranchboard and didn't get a key yet, keep an eye on the Discord. I will send out some there and give you the opportunity to join this new epic adventure, basically. And the league will start next week Saturdays, and meanwhile Andy also found his way into the chat, which is very nice. However, the first race will start next week. We have a custom point system and all that stuff, which will all be announced in the Discord in the coming days. And it's also a bit easier to join, because actually you don't have to sign up at all. You can just do that via the game itself, which is a very nice change of pace for me as well. And I thought about it for a long time if I should take this step, but I think it's definitely the right thing to do. Also helps hopefully with keeping the raceroom events on a more regular basis. And talking about raceroom events, we will also have an announcement later for the next raceroom event, because that's already planned and sketched out, of course. And I'm curious to see how this whole thing will work out. There will be live streams of the Ranchboard events, of course, and they will take place on Saturday evenings, not 8 PM like the raceroom events, but earlier. So, as said, keep an eye out. Hello you, Loki, welcome to the chat, and good luck for the race. Great to have you here. And if there are any further questions you have, well, it's of course trying to maximize this braking there, locked up the front brakes and couldn't really get the car to stop in time. But thank you for joining. I'm doing this happily every time. So and that's also a fair point. However, if there are any further questions, or if you're curious to see how it goes forward, join the Discord, can just tag me there, ask questions. And now we are waiting for the grid to... well, grid. As said, it's a standing start, which we didn't have in quite a long time actually. And there we have all 12 cars on the grid. Sven Mackenberg in front of all of them. And the lights are out, we go green in Zolder for the first of 3 races. And Sven Mackenberg with a very good getaway. Behind it's a bit ruggy and Jaroslav Kwiatkowski with a good start. Bit of contact there between the Kartoffel and Ricardo Rebello by the looks of it. Sven Mackenberg still in front. It's nearly 3 wide there with the Civic of Gaspar Misch, who fell down 1 position, is now in P8. But it's very close up front. It's Marvin Mackenberg chasing down Sven Mackenberg. Oh, and a couple of dollars very wide there. That's Gaspar Misch. Fell right down the order into P11, P12 actually. It's too wide between Marcel Löcken and Jiri Kartoffel. Marcel Löcken getting up into P6 and now having a huge run on Ricardo Rebello. Now down turn 6 it should be, I think. Side by side into the chicane. Ricardo Rebello a bit better on the brakes though. Meanwhile Stavka also up into P9. And we have the front 4 cars building a bit of a gap to the cars behind, of course being helped by the storming start of Marcel Löcken, who's just keeping Ricardo Rebello on his toes. And Gaspar Misch already making his way, a bit of contact there with Stovko, but it should be fine enough. He's trying to go for the inside line there. Is he braking later? No, he isn't. Oh, and that's Dave Ziska. Outbraked himself into turn 10. Actually, he missed. Okay, I'm not starting with this. I'm not like the other commentator. Just kidding. But losing a lot of time there, but maybe he can find his rhythm and make up for it in the second races. But let's have a look up front. It's Sven Mackenberg. In front of Marvin Mackenberg, half a second between the 2 of them, and Manuel Lopez can't go quite the pace the top 2 can do. And he's being chased on by Radoslav Kwiatkowski, who's having a very good race so far. So the top 4, actually the top 5 still in the positions they started in. But Marcel Löcken from 9th on the grid up into P6. See a lot of steering angle used on these cars. Oh, and we have a yellow flag. I think it's one of the Volvos. Ah, that's Jiri Kartoffel who just went right. Oh, and big damage to the car. Looks like it was contact with the wall though. So maybe lost the car under braking. Got Spamish going for a move down the inside of Stovko there. Lots of space given between the of them. It was spoken a bit too early, but it's fine. It's in the end also 2 car races and exactly the same as the lap prior. Gashwamish having a look down the inside, but just not close enough to try an out-braking maneuver. And Marcel Löcken really putting the pressure on to Ricardo Rebello. And Marvin Mackenberg also slowly wheeling in his brother. Gaining thousands by thousand of a second, one after another. We have basically pairs of 2 forming here, but Marcel Löcken very close to Ricardo Rebello now, almost side by side. Doesn't do move into the chicane here though. Does he get the better run out of turn 5 though? He has a very good one, but is he close enough is the question. Not quite. It's very hard to get alongside and not outbrake yourself in the same time. So he has to wait another lap. But so far a very promising start by Marcelo. Gashamish meanwhile still stuck behind Stovko. He's putting up a great defense against Gaspar. Oh, and it looks like Timo Reiter is having some connection issues here and there. Let's hope this doesn't cause any trouble, and let's hope he can continue this race without any issues. And Gashmamish got past Stovko there after a mistake from Czech. And we have someone coming into the pits. It's Timo Reiter coming into the pits. Oh, lots of damage to the front of the car there. Not too sure what happened there. Looked a bit odd. So maybe it was his internet, as he's also disconnected from the voice chat he was with some of the other drivers. Marvin Markenberg couldn't quite keep up now in the end with Sven Rottenberg, so the gap has grown a bit again. Same can't be said for Mustang. Oh, and very late braking there. Lost him a lot of time. And that's what I said earlier. And Timo seems like he has experienced a game crash. Very unfortunate. Also did a good race up until this point. In general, unfortunately, he just doesn't have the best of luck with this game. Often plagued by internet issues, game crashes at points as well. And actually, he just confirmed it was both. So he had internet issues when the pits and then his game crashed. Gap has grown a bit since this mistake, a bit more, but seems like he got back his confidence as he's slowly getting closer again. Meanwhile, Dave Siska seems to have found his rhythm. He's now closing in on František Stovko. He's currently sitting in P10 though, and as race 2 and race 3 are on reverse grid, that would mean he would start the next race from P1 basically, from pole position, which of course is also a strategic thing to think about. Schmish getting closer to his Honda colleague Orel Balmana. See if he can get past him and reclaim that 7th position he had from qualifying. They're basically in reverse of what they started with. And Marvin Markenberg in the slipstream of his brother. Emmanuel Lopez meanwhile pretty much sitting comfortably in P3. Radoslav Kwiatkowski not quite having the pace to go with him. Also hasn't set a better lap time yet, so it's hard to compare. And we're approaching halfway point of race 1. Master looking again within the 1 second range of Riccardo Rebello. Can see them. See if he can get close, but also tires. You should not forget about them, because if you start overheating them, overusing them, which you can do in the old machines, if you're not careful enough, they will cost you in the end. And if they're overheated once, it's hard to get them back into the correct temperature range. .3 between the Muckenbergs. The next race will be very interesting for the two of them, because they will start, if it stays like this, P9 and P10 on the grid. That means they have 8 cars in front of them to get through. Easy to get stuck behind one. Is this now again within the 1 second mark of Stovko? Oh, and Gashpamish very close to Banamana now. Can see him understeering through turns 2 and 3 though. Car's just pulling forward, but he's trying to turn in at the same time. You can also see how loose the rear end is on that car at the moment. Which means he's like lifting off a lot to counter for the understeer. You can also see how much the car leans onto the outside tire. Gosh, for Mish here again being able to get onto the throttle quite early compared to Romana. Getting him turned early and then so he seems to be at the moment faster, and he's going for it now. To the outside, Gashfamish. Lots of space given by Obamana now. He's trying to go for the switchback, I reckon, but he's too close. Oh, and somebody into the go. I think that was Master Lurton. Pretty much took a lot of load off Riccardo Bello's shoulders. Can also see Obamana going for quite a late apex, or rather it's that early apex, so he's turning in early. Gashamish waiting for much later in the turn to turn in. But they can see where he loses time. It's when he understeers, he lifts off the throttle and gets onto it too hard. Meanwhile, up front, Sven Markenberg is just keeping safe distance to his brother. But he also can't outpace him. And we have 5 minutes left for this race. They are pretty clear of the rest of the field. Lopez 8 seconds, now 9 seconds behind. Who himself has a 4-second gap to Radoslav Piatkowski. So top 5 unchanged from qualifying. Let's see how aggressive Geshomish is in taking those curbs. So further down, there's Siska getting closer and closer to Stovko each lap. Will it be enough for him? Enough time left in this race to gain that 9th place and this one more point for the championship? I think Gausch has had a mistake somewhere because he lost 4 to 5/10 to Albermana this lap. But meanwhile, Markenberg, as close as he was ever be to Sven Markenberg. And he's right on the bumper of his brother. We have roughly, pretty much 2 laps left in this race. Less than 3/10 the gap, and now in the slipstream on the backstretch. Really go for it. He's looking towards Sven Markenberg, just slightly blocking off the inside line there, but he's not going for it yet. And we're entering the last lap of the race now. I'd say Markenberg has probably 2 more chances to get past his brother. There's Siska meanwhile, also getting closer and closer, but will it be enough for him? All he needs is one opportunity, but will he get it here? But it shows that he really improved over the session. Not close enough in this case. Not work. Now he has one more chance at the end of the lap, entering the final chicane. It looks like Sven Magmark both have a very good drive out of the final turn. But it looks like Sven Magmark has it in the back. Out of the final turn. And Sven Magmark is going to take victory. Congratulations to him, congratulations to Marvin. They will both line up 9th and 10th on the grid for the next race. It's Manuel Lopez in P3, Radoslav Piatkowski coming in P4 and Ricardo Bello P5. Pretty much like they were in qualifying, but Marcel Löcken from 9th on the grid to P6, and Oriol Barmana was able to defend from Gaspar Misch, who is doing some front wheel drive drifting in final turn. And Stavko was also able to keep it ahead of Dave Siska for P9 and P10. Jirika Tochel with a pretty beat up car after this race still has 2 more chances. Unfortunately, won't benefit of the reverse grid in P11, as he will start still P11. But now across the line, we'll be happy to have a repaired car for the next race, I reckon. There you have the final results once more. Best lap also goes to Sven Magmark. Team Ryzer, the unfortunate DNF for this race. But what a first race. Lots of action, especially in the first 2 laps. And there we got kicked out of the server, which happens sometimes. If I have had the time to do a screensaver for situations like these, I would have done so. But we just gotta wait until the race has stopped. Meanwhile, I think the next race will be probably the most exciting one. We've got the Magmarks starting in 9th and 10th. We've got Lopez in front of them. And up front, Dave Siska will lead them into turn 1, followed by Skodovko, Misch, Barmana and Löcken. And Siska has shown that he improved a lot over the session. So let's see what he can do in this race. He was much more comfortable with the car to the end of the race. Stovko has shown pretty good consistency throughout the race. And Misch just couldn't get past Barmana, but of course will start now in front of him. But he also had a very good starting position for the first race and then kind of got compromised in a bit of chaos entering turn 6. So let's see. Meanwhile, great idea by said Oriol Barmana in chat. Is it legal to be all in 6 wide to not let past the Magmarks? I mean, I've never seen a rule outlawing it, let's say. But I think it will be kind of hard to coordinate. Also to keep it 6-wide, and then obviously you have to narrow down for example, the chicanes. Will be a bit hard to not let the Muckenbergs past in one of those instances. Let's say the very least. There we go. Back into the server now. We still have 5 minutes of warm-up, to my knowledge. Should be. But yeah. There we have it, warm-up. So a bit of cooldown time for the drivers. Well, this also looks interesting. So getting some laps in. Of course, now again, different fuel loads, tires are cold on start. Dann was er looking with that start on the first race. Taking a lot of curb here. I don't think his suspension took a big liking to that. And as you can see, no, it definitely didn't, even though it looks like it's kind of driftable. Also totaled his car by what the HUD told me. Taking as much curb as possible after this game. Also some practice starts. Of course, these cars don't have launch control. In TCR cars, you press a button and release brake, and the car just goes, basically. But in those cars, it's a bit more tricky. Can see them getting practice starts in. Of course, it's also like a thing. If you do a bit of a burnout on the start, you may have created a bit of heat in the tires and they start working earlier. You don't have to worry about the rear tires at all, as Fractal is cutting the chicane quite a bit. Don't think that would have been within any track limits, but it is worth a try. However, it's a compromise you have to take, of course. You use tire life to get heat into the tires. Is it worth it? In a tournament race, you don't have to worry about tire life that much. So Everybody getting out on track to just get a feel for the car again. For the outlap. For the first lap of the race. And there we go. We will now get back onto the formation grid for the second race with reverse grid. And let's see what the people can do from their respective starting position. Dave Siska will lead them at lights out. And we go green for the second time here in Zolder. It's a good start from Gashpamish there. Can also already see he is jumping Stofko. And there's contact between Balmana and Stofko. The two Citroens make contact there on the outside. That's of Kwiatkowski and Ricardo Bello, but more compromised Kwiatkowski. And there's one of the Volvos in the gravel. I think that might be Kartoffel. And up front, Gashpamish is leading from Marcel Lötten. The Maggenbergs in P7 and P8, they took quite a cautious approach. Lots of two rides behind. There's Emmanuel Lopez making his way through, but getting now passed by Sven Maggenberg. And it's Gashpamish leading. Can see them coming down the hill. It's very close, further behind Emmanuel Lopez being under attack from Marvin Maggenberg. But Marvin got past Sven. And this is already very important for him. They are all three a bit stuck behind Stofko. But now Lopez down the inside. Can he make a move? Bit of contact there. Corrected with his throttle. That compromised this one out of the turn though. And it seems like Marvin Maggenberg is already alongside him and already past him. Means he's leading the Chevrolet chain. And Stofko misbreaking there in the final turn, but Lopez trying to counter-attack Marvin Maggenberg alongside. And now Stofko coming back into the track, being overtaken on both sides. Sven Maggenberg joins his brother, getting past the ladder. And side by side through turn one. Oh, and there's contact. Might have looked worse on broadcast than it actually was. Oh, and Radoslav Kwiatkowski, that was contact. I think it's both Citroens off in turn 2. It's a big blow to their chances. But up front, Gashpamish, closely followed by Marcel Löcken and Dave Siska, still in P3. And you can see the gap to Marvin Maggenberg and Sven Maggenberg is quite big. Oh, and now Marcel Löcken to the outside. Can he hang it around the outside and brake early enough? Now he does back out of this. Oh, and Marvin Maggenberg seems to have had a mistake on error because he's... Or did he let Emmanuel Lopez get past due to the incident in turn 1? That might be very well the case. See it back up to pace. Of course, very good news for Sven Maggenberg. Ricardo Bello and Radoslav Kwiatkowski not having the greatest start to their second races each. Marvin Maggenberg pretty much putting on the pressure on Emmanuel Lopez. Is alongside him on the front stretch. Can he this time hang it around the outside? It's pretty much the same the other way around. Lopez hanging it around the inside, leaving space, but Maggenberg just not able to get the power down early enough. Meanwhile, front, Dave Siska can't quite get the car to the pace of the two guys in front, but he's keeping Oriol Balmana at bay for the podium position. And Gashfamish is also building a gap to Marcel Löcken. The fight between Lopez and Mackenberg allows Sven Mackenberg to build a bit of a gap to his brother, which might be helpful later on. Cutoff is trying to get his way past. Of course, Sofcom is breaking there into turn 8. And that's the Cutoff up into 8th place. He of course sitting on 0 points so far, so he's looking to get some points. Marcel Löcken closed in again on the Civic. But they both... Oh, and Gashfamish went wide in turn 1. And that means Marcel Löcken now leading the race. Remember, he started P9 on the first race. He started P5 in this race. And now Dave Siska right behind Gashfamish. And you can already see behind the group of 3 is Sven Mackenberg. Now how fast can he get past the group of them? Can see Olbermann having a slight look to the inside, but he has to watch out for the crews behind. But this is great news for Maslinger, and having looked down the inside again, cuts off Sven Mackenberg there. And Marvin Mackenberg is now also right with them again. He got past Emmanuel Lopez. And now Balmana down the inside of Siska. Siska leaving space. Both compromised the run out of turn 8. Now can Sven Mackenberg slip through with Balmana on Siska here. Sven Mackenberg also having a look down. But Siska slots right in behind Sven Mackenberg. Little touch there on the rear end. Through the final turn. If Siska has a good run, but I don't think it will be enough to counter-attack into turn 1. But it definitely gave Oriol Balmana a bit of a breathing room there to get, just have a bit of space. Sven Mackenberg now also around the outside of Dave Siska. Through turn 3, and he cleared the Czech driver. Emmanuel Lopez now the next one to knock on the door. Sven Mackenberg, great run out of turn 4. Down the inside of Oriol now through the chicane. Can the Spaniard get a good run? No. Marvin Mackenberg also looking down the inside now. Can he slip through? Indeed he can. And Emmanuel Lopez there. Great braking maneuver on Dave Siska. But Dave Siska is able to keep it in front of the Argentinian driver. But this is great action we are seeing. 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, correct myself very quickly. The gap from Gashfamish to Sven Mackenberg. But this is now a bit of a gap to close. And then also getting past Gashfamish, of course. But Marcel Löcken leading race 2 here at the Zolder 3x20. And Cody Nikola-Latkowski in chat leave his comment of support, which is very appreciated. You tuned in right at the correct moment though, because we've got a high degree of action on track right now. So Emmanuel Lopez is trying to get past Dave Siska now. Of course finished P3 in qualifying and in the first race. So he sure knows how to drive a car fast. Now in slipstream is itching closer, but it's not quite enough. Maybe a bit better on the brakes, not quite. Dave Siska really found the groove with the car now. If you remember how How he struggled with the car in qualifying. And sent a dummy around the outside, now on the inside line. If he can hang it around the outside, he can get past on the inside, and Dave's just got no chance there. Lopez up into P6. That was a great move. Very well prepared to execute that move. It's been outmatched by Dave Siska on the outside line for a couple of laps in a row now. So he just turned around the positions into turn 7. But up front, Sven Mackenberg and Marvin Mackenberg getting closer and closer to Gashwamish. 10 minutes left. And already having a look down the outside. Good on the braking. Chevy Cruz. Oh, and Gashwamish holding his own on the outside line now in the inside. And Marvin Mackenberg sending it down the inside. And will we go nearly 3 right here? We are going... Sven Mackenberg is backing out of this, but Marvin Mackenberg got past his brother. Oh, and Gashwamish there wide. There was a bit of contact to... I think it was Sven Mackenberg. Sent Gashwamish wide, but the Mackenberg brothers switched places. And this is exactly what Marvin Mackenberg needs to stay in the championship fight. Meanwhile now Radoslav Kwiatkowski close to Ricardo Bella, of course, the two drivers being very compromised throughout this race. With 2 collisions each in the opening 2 laps. They're in P9 and P10. They have in front of them Miri Kartoffel. Siska is quite the way ahead, so as long as nothing major happens, it will be quite hard to catch up to him. However, up front, the Mackenberg brothers, 1.7 seconds behind Marcel Löcken. Marcel Löcken being on a very good pace. Seems to be very aligned with this car in particular. Of course, everybody has their cars that he can drive better or worse than others. And maybe this is just the perfect car for the German. At least it looks by the race pace he's putting down. He already made up 10 positions, I think, or 9 positions in both races combined. But this will now be a challenge, of course. One Marcel Löcken against Marvin Mackenberg and Sven Mackenberg at the same time. And by the same time, I mean the same time, if you remember 1 lap back, how they overtook Gashwamish. One on the right-hand side, one on the left-hand side. Now Lopez trying to close in on Oriol Bamana. Gap has come down to 7/10. Different generations of Cherry Cruise here, even though the performance is the same between the cars. You can see the taillights from Marcel Löcken are a bit different. Can also see how much more pinned to the inside Marvin Mackenberg can drive this car through the right hand of turn 4, sorry. And yeah, no match under braking there. Marvin Mackenberg passed into P1. But depending on how well Sven can get through, this might be a big caution there for Marvin Mackenberg from Sven Mackenberg. He got passed fairly easily into turn 7. Marcel Löcken also didn't defend all too desperate. He probably knows very well that for 4 more laps this would be quite hard to defend. But he's still up in a podium position. Władysław Kwiatkowski got past Ricardo Bello, is now knocking on the door of Ilka Tochwe. Doesn't look like there's a considerable amount of damage on the Citroens. Having a look down the inside, not quite close enough there. Polish driver. Has a little look down the inside. Good run out of turn 2 into turn 3. Again, sends the dummy down the inside. Lopez also nearly in striking distance to Aurel Barmana. Himself is fairly close to Gashpamish. Can see how close Władysław Kwiatkowski is keeping it to Ilka Tochwe. Now to the outside here, defending to the inside line. Trying to go for the switchback, but being blocked out by Erich Volvo there. Through the right-hander. Across the hill. And again, sends the dummy down the inside, backs out. Now can he get a good enough drive out of turn 8 to maybe try something into turn 10? Here again, trying to defend to the inside. Władysław Kwiatkowski trying to go the long way around, can't quite do it. And up front, you can see a train of 3. Gashpamish, Aurel Barmana, and Barmana now under attack from Lopez. There's a bit of contact, bit of sliding on the Chevy Cruze. Oh, and Ricardo Bello now very close to Władysław Kwiatkowski as well. So all this fighting allowed the Portuguese driver to come back in and now down the inside of turn 3. And he's past Władysław Kwiatkowski there in a beautiful switchback. You know, we are nearly side by side through the chicane in the fight for P4. And there's still 3 minutes off the clock. On the clock, not off the clock. That means 2 more laps after this one. And this may very well go down to the wire between the 3 of them. I think Marvin Mankenberg, if he doesn't do a major mistake, can defend this from Sven Mankenberg, just like Sven did from Marvin the previous race. But the fight for P4, 5 and 6 is not even close to be settled, as now Emmanuel Lopez had a much better run out of turn 8, down the inside of turn 10. But now being boxed out on the outside. But still again has a good run, and now the slipstream on the quite short but still significant front stretch. Does he go for a move? No, not quite. But Aurel Barmana is defending with everything he has. Emmanuel Lopez going around the outside to preserve as much speed as possible. Getting as close to the back bumper of that Civic as possible. Again, having a look down the inside but backing out of it. Maybe can get a good run through the chicane here. It was good through the left-hander, lost a bit of speed through the right-hander. Oh, and brakes very late now into the chicane. Now that is a lot of skill both drivers have. Mana now down to the outside. He can defend around the outside there. But Lopez kept it good, had a good run. Now side by side. Can he maybe outbreak Mana into turn 10? He's kinda boxed in on the outside line. Oh, and he outbreaks himself. He went for it. Didn't quite work out. And now entering the last lap, it will be hard for him to catch up to Mana again and try it again. It's not impossible, but it will be very hard. Meanwhile, further down, Bello still in 9th position after getting past Kwiatkowski in that beautiful maneuver in the Sector 1. Through turn 1. There's probably one more chance to get past Jiri Kartoffel now. Has a good run. Oh, even touches a bit of grass on the outside there. Oh, and there's contact between the two of them. Has slid in behind, but Jiri Kartoffel has to go wide. And now, Radoslav Kwiatkowski around the outside. Can he get past Ricardo Bello there? A bit of contact through the right-hander. But remarkably, still both on the tracks, but Jiri Kartoffel even more remarkably still in front of the two of them. And Radoslav Kwiatkowski taking back P9 in the maneuver. Meanwhile, Marvin Mackenberg crossed the line first, Sven Mackenberg in second. Master Löcken finishes on the podium. Gaspar Misch, Mana, Emanuel Lopez, Delph Siska in P7. And Jiri Kartoffel, it go wide to the line. Jiri Kartoffel, can he hold his own? Indeed, he finishes P8. Super close finish with Radoslav Kwiatkowski, just a few thousands across the line. For P9 and P10 finished up with Ricardo Bello. Meanwhile, Stovko in P11. But what a finish to this race. Very action-filled race. But the Mackenberg brothers, not quite on equal terms, but very close to it. So I'm now calculating the points real quick. So we have 32 points for Sven Mackenberg and 31 points for Marvin Mackenberg. So going through the points, as said, 32 for Sven Mackenberg, 31 for Marvin Mackenberg. They have quite the gap to the cars behind, so they're pretty safe in terms of P1 and P2. Even though whoever finishes ahead in the next race will pretty much be victorious overall. Then we have Emanuel Lopez on 18 points, followed by Master Löcken after that stunning drive in the first two races on 15 points. Radoslav Kwiatkowski still on 12, Gaspar Misch on 11, Mana 10 points, Ricardo Bello 8 points. So we have 6 cars within 10 points. Remember, 15 ups for grabs in the race. Dave Siska on 5 points, Jiri Kartoffel on 3, and Stovko on 2 points. have to wait again to rejoin the game. And while Mark was saying absolute carnage at the start, it looked very messy indeed. Even though it didn't look like there was all too much contact from the outside. But we will see how the third race goes, because it's pretty much exactly set up like the last one. This time we will have, of course, the Mangwerks again at the back of the grid. But Riccardo and Bello leading them into turn 1 probably, in front of Władysław Piatkowski. Then we have Erika Tochvel and Dave Siska on row 2. In row 3, Marcel Löcken and Oriol Balmana. So that will be very interesting. So Marcel Löcken, hard to tell. Actually, will be on row 4. Sorry, that was my mistake. Because Emmanuel Lopez is going to start on row 3. But Marcel Löcken, he also started that far back in the first race, when it was... Oh, and that's a shame for Oriol Balmana, the game crashed. Which is very bad, of course. Let's hope it didn't crash overall. But yeah, I really hope they bring improvements to the whole crashing issue. As we rejoin in qualifying now. In the warm-up, sorry. That now promotes... Even though Oriol Balmana is still in the game for me. So I'm not sure how the game will work it out. Gaspar Milch will be starting on row 4. But he still has quite the opportunity to gain some positions overall. Yeah, thank you for joining, you Loki. It was a pleasure to have you here on track. Even though it's a big shame that it has to end in this way. And that you also can't rejoin. Let's hope next time it will go a bit better. But I mean, still, P7 and P5 is very respectable on that grid. 10 points overall. So let's see where you maybe still finish in the end as a whole. Imagine not doing burnouts by driving in reverse. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would do. Front wheel drive burnouts. Got 1 minute left so we start the final showdown for today. Already was a pleasure to have everyone on track. To have this action. And of course after the race we will announce the next race event. We've talked about Mainboard earlier. But of course race will also be announced because we have the next event, as said previously, already scheduled out. Even though to the all-knowing KCG followers, this should already be kinda obvious which series it will be, which cars. Some doing practice starts, like Dave Siska. It's a very fair point because he kinda lost out on the grid last time. So I'm curious to see how this will behave on the grid now, because Oriel Bamana is still registered in the contest, even though his game through his PC crashed. But yeah, we are preparing for the last race for today. And we are on the grid, and František Stovko is starting on pole for this race. 5 lights. And we go racing for one final time here at Zolder. It's a good start from Gashpamish than the background. But Stovko also with a good start has a chance to lead this race. But that's also Ricardo Bello now on the inside line there. And getting up into P1, there's a bit of contact between Radoslav Petkowski and Stovko. There's Siska getting involved around the outside there. And Gashpamish with a huge start. Up into P3 already. So if Ricardo Bello leading from Stovko from Gashpamish. Jump on board with Master Löcken. So standings only show. Oh, and he cut the chicane quite a bit there, probably to avoid an incident. Of course, we still have 10 drivers in this race. As we see, Sven Nockenberg getting past here, Kartoffel there in the background, and Gashpamish sending it down the inside of the ladder. Getting Stovko all offline. But this is huge for Bello. Bello's now building a huge gap to everyone else. Meanwhile, the Mackenberg's still stuck in traffic behind. And it's Marcel Löcken looking down the inside of Radoslav Piatkowski. Meanwhile, also there's Siska there off the line. Oh, and hitting Emmanuel Lopez, who also had a good starting phase so far. He's in P6 right now, and there's Siska being a bit compromised there. Maybe has to worry about the Argentinian now getting around the outside in turn 1. Radoslav Piatkowski start not going to plan. Let's drop down the order to P6. Now being overtaken by, should be Marvin Mackenberg. Bit hard to distinguish between Marvin Mackenberg and Marcel Löcken from the front. On the rear it's quite obvious, but he now got past the Polish driver. Oh, nearly into the back of Jiri Kartoffel there. Jiri had a very good start, I'd say. Keep this position after the contact. Means that Siska is running in the background there. Bit of guesswork we have to do there. Sven Mackenberg now having a look down the inside of Radoslav Piatkowski. Oh, and Emmanuel Lopez with a big dive on Gashpamish. Beautiful move there by the Argentinian driver. In the last moment, changed lanes to the far wide of the course. Nothing Gashmamish could have anticipated there, but beautifully executed there and up into P3 goes Lopez. Oh, and Maggenberg getting past the Kartoffel there. Meanwhile, it's a bit of scramble behind Sven Maggenberg and Dave Siska, and here Kartoffel in front. Sven getting past. Jaroslav Kwiatkowski had a very good opening race, just not being that lucky in race 2 and 3 so far. Now getting passed by Marcel Löcken. Maybe he can counter-attack around the outside. And up front it's Lopez getting past Stovko into P2 now. And Lopez is pretty much here to show that he belongs onto the podium. Now Gashwan-Misch again having Marvin Mankenberg right behind him. Oh, but now the opportunity to get past Stravko, because Stravko didn't get the best exit there through the turn 7 complex. So Gashwan-Misch at the same time having to attack and defend. Now Marvin Mankenberg with the better one. Oh, and there's contact behind. Sven Mankenberg going a bit wide there. Oh, and contact again with Marcel Löcken. And this is huge news for Marvin Mankenberg. Ricardo Bello out front, 2 seconds the gap. Stravko forcing Marvin Mankenberg to go through the inside of turn 1. And actually that might have worked. Still in front, and now Gashwan-Misch having another look down the inside of the German. And Sven Mankenberg fell down into P8. It's not what he needed right now. Now Marvin Mankenberg with a good run through turn 3. Stravko having to defend from Gashwan-Misch, contact side by side. But Gashwan-Misch forcing his way through. Taking a lot of curb though. But Stravko right on the defense again. Back into P4 for the Czech driver. But outbraking himself. And that gave Radoslav Kwiatkowski the chance to climb back into P5. And Radoslav Kwiatkowski in the standings 1 point behind Gashwan-Misch, so he's still fighting to keep that 5th place in the standings. Actually, he's fighting to get past Marcel Löcken in the standings, because Marcel Löcken is 3 positions behind him. That would be enough to put them on equal terms, or maybe even ahead. Now Sven Mankenberg. Getting forced to the wall by Stravko, but is past the Czech driver. Oh, and Radoslav Kwiatkowski to the outside of Gashwan-Misch. This is for a final points position in the standings. But Gashwan-Misch defending on the inside line. There you can see Sven Mankenberg, the blue Chevy Cruze. He will be trying to get past the pair of them as soon as possible. Oh, and Gashwan-Misch not having the better exit, but Kwiatkowski having to cut the chicane in the meantime. So he should return that position usually. Even though looked like there was contact before. So it's his call to do. Will definitely be looked at after the race. And Lopez now out front. Oh, and there's trouble. Gashwan-Misch in a collision. Doesn't sail through, but there was a collision between Gashwan-Misch and another driver. Sven Mankenberg now Having a look down the inside of Władysław Piatkowski. And he pretty much is passed. Yeah, he is passed and no up into P4. But P4 wouldn't be enough. It would be 2 points. Marvin Muckenberg is gaining on Sven if it stays like this. Up front it's getting quite tight between Ricardo Bello, Emmanuel Lopez and Marvin Muckenberg. Emmanuel Lopez to the inside of Ricardo Bello. Again a late breaking move. Oh, and big contact there. Of course, again exaggerated by the spectator connection. But Lopez into the lead of the race. And Marvin Muckenberg was able to just slip through with his Chevy driving colleague. Now can Lopez keep Marvin Muckenberg at bay? And if so, for how long? Because this will help Sven Muckenberg close in on them. It's 10 minutes on the clock. It's Marvin versus Sven in the standings, but it's Emmanuel versus Marvin on the track. Marvin Muckenberg using everything he has available. But so does Emmanuel Lopez. Now has the better exit. Oh, and that's Ricardo Bello. Oversteer through turn 4. And into the gravel trap. And Sven Muckenberg is able to just fly by him, and that's very good news for him. And now Marvin Muckenberg to the outside of Emmanuel Lopez. Emmanuel Lopez, though, very strong under braking into this complex. Does he keep his nose in front? Yes, he does. Beautiful defense there by the Argentinian driver. And Władysław Piatkowski was also able to get through with him, but either got compromised or did a mistake now in turn 7 because he lost out to Master Löcken. Master Löcken out of nowhere back into P5. Master Löcken got from Mish back there in P9, and that's really not good for his points tally. Muckenberg again not finding a way through into P1. And the gap to Sven Muckenberg has shrunk to 2 seconds only. And we still have 8 minutes to go in this race. Sends a dummy down the inside. Can't really impress Lopez with that. And Master Löcken now trying to get past the second of the Citroens. But goes wide and Władysław Piatkowski is back through. We have the two Volvos engaging in a fight. There's this guard on the inside of Jiri Kartoffel maybe. Jiri taking more speed through the outside of the turn. Keeps it in front. Again, Marvin Muckenberg with a bit of a better run through the chicane. Can he get close? I don't think it will be close enough, especially seeing how good Emmanuel is on the brakes into this complex. You can see how hard he goes into the brakes as well. No ABS, no help in this car. But this is really helping Sven Muckenberg here. This could be a shot on right to the line again. For the race lead, for the points lead, for everything. But Marvin Muckenberg, having a look, but again, very strongly defended by Emmanuel Lopez there. And also this compromised Marvin Muckenberg's exit out of turn 10. You know, the two strands again engaging in a fight between each other. Sven Magmark, he can see them. He can see them fighting. He can see them losing time. But will it be enough for him in the end? Lopez is just a tiny bit or equal to Marvin Muckenberg where it matters to keep him at bay. Exit of turn 4. He loses a bit out on the chicane, but he's so strong into the braking into turn 7 that he can make up for that. You can see there's no chance for Marvin Muckenberg to get past. And he's just using the nature of the chicane to stay in front. 1.3 seconds to get to Sven Muckenberg. We're further behind. We have a pack of 3, all very close pack lead together. Slav Piotrkowski in a bit of shape there, but stays ahead into turn 8. Seems like the long straight. That's where Marvin Muckenberg has the best shot of getting past. He's on the inside line of Lopez. But again, just can't brake hard enough to get alongside, to keep it alongside. Now has a good run into turn 1 though, but he's on the outside line. You can overtake on the outside line there, but it's not easy. And Lopez sends it in. Marvin Muckenberg can go for the switchback possibly. But not quite, because Lopez just positions his car where he needs to be. And look how close it is between the two of them. And there's Sven Muckenberg. He's right with his brother now. Goes a bit wide now though in the dirty air. Because these cars do have a bit of downforce. In the background you can also see side by side between Marcel Löckner and Radoslav Piotrkowski. And Lopez still in front. Defending for his life. I have so many red numbers in terms of closeness on my screen that I don't know where to look, because also Dave Siska is constantly fighting with the Richard Tochvel for P7. Also Marcel Löcken got past Radoslav Piotrkowski there, and again Lopez just blocking out Marvin Muckenberg. Three laps to go. It's the top 3 in points, so close together. Manuel Lopez looking for his first victory. Marvin and Sven Muckenberg looking for P1 and P2 in the championship. But this is a big performance by all 3 of them. Very close, very, very fair. If it stays like this, Marvin Muckenberg will win the championship. Will win this race day. By 1 point over Sven Muckenberg. Now again. Bit of contact there between the two brothers. Sam Muckenberg didn't get as good of a run into turn 10 as he did most of the other times. But very good run there by Lopez out of turn 10. Marcel Löcken now trying to get past Ricardo Rebello. Set himself up to maybe try to get alongside into turn 1 now. Does so. Tries to go the long way around. Can't quite make it here. Not in striking distance for the chicane. Can see how close Mainboard is getting down into P7, turn 7. Oh, and down in P5. It's muscle looking down the inside. Blocks out Ricardo Rebello. And goes up into P4. Great move there by muscle looking. Who again came from quite far down the order, of course. From P7, from P8 to be exact. But it's the top 3 within 3/10 of a second. Lopez defends to the inside. What does Sven Maggenberg do? Has a look down the inside of his brother. Lopez goes wide. Marvin Maggenberg going to the outside. And they are bumper to bumper to bumper. Now Marvin Maggenberg looking down the outside. If he can get a good run out of the chicane, this might also be worth a lot for him now. And he can nearly get alongside. Sven Maggenberg trying to follow Emmanuel Lopez. If Lopez now locks out Marvin Maggenberg, and they are side by side. Maggenbergs are side by side. Now the next one is a right-hander, so advantage to Marvin Maggenberg. Sven Maggenberg trying to creep underneath the yellow machine, but it's not quite, and that freed up the space for Emmanuel Lopez, and Sven Maggenberg has to get past now. He has one more opportunity into turn 10, but just didn't get the best drive out of turn 9. Emmanuel Lopez leads into the final complex of turns and will bring it home. And if nothing special happens, it's Marvin Maggenberg coming in P2, winning the championship. But Emmanuel Lopez wins the third race of the KCG Zolder 3x20. Congratulations to him. Marvin Maggenberg comes in second to win over his brother by 1 single point. Super close between the two of them. They had to get through a lot of cars to get there. But congratulations to the two of them. And Marcel Löcken coming in P4, Ricardo Rebello P5, Władysław Kwiatkowski P6. And Jiří Kartoffel was able to defend from Dave Siska. But what a race it has been. So much action throughout. But there you have the final results of this race. I will tell you all the standings in just a bit, once I have calculated everything. Stovko also getting 1 point in the end. Gaspar Misch coming in P9. 2 points to his tally. Okay, so the final results are up. And we have, as said, Marvin Markenberg 1 point in front of Sven Markenberg, 43-42. Emmanuel Lopez in third with 33 points. And then we have Marcel Löcken. After all that happened, he qualified in P9 in fourth with 23 points. For me, definitely the driver of the day. So congrats to him. Radoslav Piatkowski secured P5 in the end with 17 points. Ricardo Rebello with 14 points. Gaspar Misch 13. Then we have Aurel Bamana still in P8, even though he couldn't participate in the last race. Dave Siska made his way back up into P9, Erik Kartoffel P10, and Stovko P11. Team Reiter, of course, with that unfortunate DNF in P12. However, it was such an enjoyable race to commentate on. It was really... I really enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. But, of course, we will also have a next event. And maybe I will think about doing those sprint races more often, because they are a hell lot of fun. Just let me quickly upload the provisional results. However, we will have the next KCG events in 3 weeks in between the 2 Rennsport races. So I have 2 Rennsport races now, the next 2 weeks. And after that we will be back to Racewing. And of course, in Racewing Fan Edition, it will be a GT Legacy race. But where it will be, it is have surprised. That's right, on April 13th we will go to Suzuka for the next GTL with all your favorite old GT3 cars. And I think it will be a lot of fun. Always has been a lot of fun going to Suzuka. And yeah, after that one we will have a very special event in my opinion, which I'm very much looking forward to. Which I will probably announce also or teaser a bit earlier, but you will see. However, I think this should be it for today. I want to thank everyone who participated, who supports KCG throughout everything we are doing. And yeah, see you all hopefully next week in Rennsport. And until then, have a good time. Goodbye.